Greetings, and welcome to The Map, the Modern Alchemist podcast. I'm Aubrey Forrest, the Modern Alchemist. We're back. I'm so glad to be back. I've needed a break. There was so much work that I had done over the first part of the summer with regard to the classes that was really labor intensive. And so I'm really happy with the product that we finally finished, and I'm really happy to be back. This is the Modern Alchemist podcast, so it's not going to be really heavy intensive with any kind of reading and stuff. And if I throw slides up here, it's probably just to make a pleasant screensaver, more likely than anything else. If I do put something up, I'll probably mention it. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to pop something up to show my point, and then I'll go through and do that later for you, and you can do that and watch it. So here we are. We're back. In this episode, we're going to talk about being comfortable with being uncomfortable, and pretty much that's me just expressing to you a commitment. We've come a long way on this channel. In the last few weeks, I've spent a lot of time really seriously considering where we need to go, and what this channel is about, and what I'm about, and what alchemy is about. And as such, it occurred to me that for me to do this correctly, I have to definitely move outside of my comfort zone. And anyone who's worked in the esoteric will deeply understand this angst of just coming out into the public and saying, okay, this is what people like me do. This is what the others do, meaning the people that are in power. This is clearly what they're doing. But to show you that it's sort of like looking at the alien monster in Alien, right? It's really scary in the dark and the shadows, and everyone's like, ah! And then the moment you pull it out, you're like, well, it's sort of not that, I mean, it's ugly maybe or different, but it's not like what I thought it was. That's ever the case with the esoteric. And I had I had been making decisions for all of us, like I had been deciding, there's an adage, milk for babes, meat for strong men. And so I was just basically kind of like deciding, well, maybe we'll give you a puree, some pate, something that you could get some substance with. But as I've reviewed what I've taught you relative to what I know, it's so just scratching the surface, you guys. And so I need to share more. I need to give you an opportunity to see more. But in order to do that, that's going to make all of us very uncomfortable, because that means that I will be destroying a bunch of illusions. I will be disrupting illusions. And illusions are the things which are most closely held to our hearts and our ego. It's the reason we get mad. It's the reason we become disappointed in someone, right? Oh, you did that, did you? Right? And why? Why is that upsetting? Because I thought you would act differently. Yeah, I had an illusion. I had a countenance that I'd placed on you, and you didn't act the way I thought you would, and therefore now I'm upset. Well, the world is not the way we think it is. And I know there's a ton of people out here on YouTube that say that, but they're saying it in terms of fear. I'm not going to talk about fear here. We're going to disrupt fear. I'm going to take all that away. I'm going to take the language away from the fear mongers, the religious people out here who are praising a particular divinity and then fostering fear in the name of that divinity. I want to disrupt that. And that, of course, will make many people uncomfortable. I'm going to talk about the Bible, and I'm going to talk about Jesus, and I'm going to talk about various books in the Bible, and I will decrypt those for you into astrotheological terms, which, I used to take the stance, and, I'm taking the stance of what all of the opponents to what I would say would take, which is that I'm just going to tell you as it is, as if it were fact, and let you decide. These are operational, functional things that, and that's the thing that makes me uncomfortable, is by sharing all this with you, I'm sharing with you my personal belief system, right? Or at least something that I'm holding in kind of abeyance. I'm letting it float there as a potential of what could be the truth. rather than just simply toss it away. And that technique of keeping these ideas in contained little orbs in my head, and waiting for greater truth or greater understanding or greater connections to develop, so that maybe that might include that orb, or disrupt it entirely and say, no, that's just another illusion. So we gotta talk about this stuff, you guys, and I gotta be comfortable that I know there are probably people out there this will upset. I've definitely had many people, write me that, not many, but enough. And I've addressed a few of you in comment threads or in letters, or I've actually republished your question in a WordPress article. That's where I prefer to answer a lot of that stuff. Or the discussion feed, I might repost it on the discussion feed here on the Modern Alchemist channel on YouTube. But overall, we're going to have some mature dialogue here, folks. We can't sit here and cloak ourselves in Jesus and Satan and devils and angels and extraterrestrials and expect to be anywhere near serious or the truth. I'm going to talk about stuff like that. I'm going to talk about stuff like that, but only to demonstrate to you what they represent on a larger perspective. And ultimately, it's funny. I've got some really good friends, and one of them I walk with regularly. You know who you are, and he and I were talking, and I was relating this concept because I'd really come to a point, and I was just like, dude, I don't know, maybe this is what I want to tell people. I want to just clearly state to you, and so I've pretty clearly stated stuff already, but not to the point where I'm just like, no, this is it. And if you feel I am doing that, then sweet, you should let me know, because definitely I feel like there's way more light that can be shed on these topics. But to shed light on stuff disrupts its dimensions. It will alter its face, how it looks, just like taking a complex sculpture from a darkened closet and then putting it under a bright light. You'll see differences, nuances, and as the light is cast on different parts of it, you'll get new impressions of what that sculpture is about. And that sculpture is my metaphor for the esoteric. It's my metaphor for the occult. This is me pulling it out of the closet. Now, some of this is going to touch on, like I said, politics, and that's going to make people really uncomfortable. All I can say is this: that if you believe, given the state of affairs, I mean, anyone who's been in the military will understand what I'm talking about. There is no hope that your Second Amendment right will guarantee you freedom against the military force of the United States or any of the military forces of the reserve forces in any particular state, or the police forces these days. That's part of the age of Aquarius. That's it. That force of presence is part of it. We euphemistically phrase that same force and push it 300 years in the future in Star Trek and call it Starfleet. But you still have a military force everywhere, and I mean everywhere. And so that's part of it. You can get really upset about that, or you can look at the larger picture. And that's some of what makes you uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. It should make you uncomfortable because it's change. Change makes you uncomfortable. We've come out of 4,000 years of collective bloodshed between the Aryan age of Aries and the Jovian age of Pisces. And the last 2,000 years, the number one thing that we've been chitter-chattering about has been freedom, and liberty. And that's everything that we sing about in this country. That's all that we do. Our symbol, the eagle, is a Jovian symbol. It means Jupiter. It's a symbol of Jupiter, and it's representative of the nature and construct of this country astrotheologically. It's stuff that it's just there. Well, we're done with that now. The United States is going to get a facelift. We're going to get a remodel here pretty soon, and as is the rest of the world. And the thing that is the challenge is this: we all want world peace. We don't really know what that looks like. And most of us are unaware that we will have to change the way we are, the way we do things, the way we live, in order for a world to have peace. Right now, when we think of world peace, we think of uh, peace here in America, right, or Europe or something. First world peace. That's what we're thinking of. First world peace. But to have true world peace, that means that all of the world has to be included in that, and that means that things will change and resources will be reallocated, and that there will be world governance. And in fact, there is world governance right now. You know, there is world governance. It's there. And if you don't think it's there, then start looking up the Trilateral Commission or the Council of Foreign Relations. Take a look at the World Bank and recognize that economies are structured around finance. What, incidentally, I'm only going to talk about stuff that I have a particular degree of expertise in. So, because I really hate misleading people. And I hate being in error in the conveyance of my stuff, which is why, like, for instance, I use that whiteboard in my videos. It's so that I can really be clear, so I can really be clear of what I'm saying. Here, we're just going to have to weather it. This is just me podcasting, trying to get through some points here on my page, trying to let you know that things are going to change on the channel. We're gonna talk explicitly, like I am right now, about stuff and about all of it. And the reason is you need to have whoever's out here subscribed, listening. It I believe that if I don't, then I'm contributing to the harm. That was what came to me, because then I have to be uncomfortable with this, and so that you understand, being uncomfortable is a good place to be, especially if you're working with the esoteric. Uh, Complacency is death in the esoteric. It creates dogma. It prevents you from modifying your belief model or system to accommodate new insight or wisdom. For me, that's it. And so you're part of this journey. Okay, 30 years went by, and I did what everyone else does that does what I do, which is you're doing it alone, and you're observing, and something happened. Something happened that's compelled me to do what most people like me would find anathema, which is, to get out here and take the risk. Now, there are a few of us out there, and I applaud all of you. I think collectively, as a community on YouTube, the esoteric community needs to kick it up a notch. We need to um, we need to definitely kick it up a notch. Take this stuff out of the dark ages. Take it to a good light place, because that's where it needs to be. This material is about you. This material is about me, um, and it is about our collective history. I've hinted at our collective history. I'm gonna tell you a bedtime story in the coming weeks. I'm gonna tell you our story. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about aliens and ancient aliens and reptilians. Oh goodness, and we're going to deal with conspiracy theory, because ultimately, it occurred to me that I'm kidding myself if I'm teaching you guys in an esoteric schmackdown that this stuff is there, that it's being surreptitiously treated as material and taught, and yet that this is not conspiratorial, right? Meaning that a selective group of people are actually aware of this, and leaving the rest of us to be unaware. That's how it works. That's how it's done. We've discussed the director, actor, audience pyramid in class a couple times, and that's, but we need to really kind of. I just feel like you might need more of this. Now, if you disagree, if you think that this is in some way not reflective of it, let me know. Seriously, let me know. But the direction I'm going, I think that at least at this part of the channel, in this segment, in the map, the Modern Alchemist podcast, the map, if I'm to be your guide in the map, then we have to talk about politics. We have to talk about sociology. We have to talk about history. We have to talk about science, and we're definitely going to have to talk about religion, um, and how it all plays together. That 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 we've been duped, all of us, and that we continue to be duped, and that the amazing thing about being bamboozled is that after a while, the bamboozilee is reluctant to call the bamboozler out because they're thinking to themselves, "Damn, how'd you get me for so long?" Well, guys, I've been in that boat. I've been in that boat. I spent 20 full years, living in that boat, being bamboozled and taking it at its face. And then I realized, no, there's a greater thing going on, that yeah, sure, those of us here in the trenches, we're all doing one thing, and those those other guys are doing something entirely different, and it's always do as I say, not as I do. So that that makes you think. So this the map is about thinking. Now, in conclusion, I just want to point something out. I'm a teacher. That's it. That's what I do. I teach. I'm really good at it. I'm confident with my ability to teach, and I've spent a lot of time familiarizing myself with a vast number of topics, all of the ones I just mentioned, so that I can teach the material as a complete unit, because I do not see religion as separate from politics or sociology or history or science. I don't. And nor do I see the sociology separate from religion, politics, history, or science. Like it's all part of the same package. It's simply different parts of the same tree, and we need to explore that to understand the tree. We're going to use the toolbox of alchemy because it provides us the language and the means by which to express the self, so that we can keep seeing the same pattern over and over again. And it's like one of those transparencies that you lay over on an overhead projector, and so you see the map, and then you lay it over, and now you get to see all the roads and the cities and everything, right, that exist on the country that the map is on. That's what I want to show you guys. Now, uh, this is not a spiritual movement. I want to emphasize that, but this can become something which is spiritual for you personally. Um, it For me, I've obtained a high degree of peace, and an extraordinary level of peace of mind, and extraordinary clarity. But it's the clarity of being a leaf in a whirlwind, you know. So you're there in your lotus position meditating, and you're like, "Yep, I'm a leaf in a whirlwind, but I'm still a leaf." And it's still the whirlwind, and I know where I'm at. And sometimes that's might be all you guys need. I know it's been all I needed. But then my expectations, I've withdrawn a high degree of expectation from what I think should be, right? Because your expectations are always cast by your ego, and your ego is the illusion maker for you. So part of alchemy then is to just see it as it is. And sometimes in order to see something as it is, you have to look at what was accomplished as a result of it being at all. You have to define a thing by its context and its effect on its context. And that's alchemy. That's what we're going to do here. We're gonna do that, and the goal is to transmute ignorance into wisdom, to transmute fear perhaps into something faith, and to take some despair and turn it into hope. That's really what I want. I want to see that happen. But it can fundamentally alter your perspective over time, you guys, because I don't. And some of you have written about this. I'm kind of adamant, and I apologize again to those of you I've written. One of my friends, he's like, "Dude, you totally jumped down the gun on me," and it was just in relation to the union of electric universe physics with quantum theory, and the use of a term like singularity with regard to electric universe physics, because they're mutually exclusive. I talk a lot about electric universe physics. It makes people a little uncomfortable. The only ones it makes uncomfortable are people that are attached to the standard model and to prevailing dogma regarding the standard model. Um, Anyone with any significant esoteric training will understand that if the electric universe model fails, then it takes with it everything that is alchemy and magic. It's gone. Then it's just gone. It doesn't exist anymore. That will wipe it out, because that's the scientific underpinning. Why? Because of the law, the principle of mentalism. And if it's mental, then it's electrical. And then there we are again. So if it is not electrical, then it's not mental. And if it's not mental, it's not electrical. They're the same thing. So then there is no alchemy and no magic. So this is why the standard model has been taught, you guys. That's part of the conspiracy, part of the illusion. All of this science built around something that doesn't actually work. And why would someone do that? Why would someone keep making these super colliders, right? Looking for a particle that doesn't exist? Why? That's a lot. And what I see it as is that we are literally living in the time of Galileo all over again. So there are a few scientists out there that are saying, hey, no, this is actually how it works. And this argument for the electric universe, this has been around, you guys. This isn't new. It's just new now because it's just getting a lot of press. But this was at the turn of the 20th century. There was a lot of debate, turn of the 20th century, and it was decided by, the quantum mathematicians. They wound up winning out. And I think they wound up winning out because what they teach is unempowering. It takes the power away from you. It separates you. It separates everything, and it makes it all just a gobbledygook, jumbly mess. So, all right, we've spent the last 22 minutes here, you guys, talking about a number of things. I promise not to ramble quite so much, but I had a lot to get off my chest. I wanted to just share with you that I'm committed to you guys out here, and I'm committed to people that aren't even subscribed yet. I know that there's more of us out there. There's a lot of us. The thing is that, and I feel you, you guys. I feel you. That so isolated to you get out there and you're like, there's no one in my community that even approaches this kind of thinking, or there's no one in my community that talks about this. Yes. And so now what we're making here, this is our community right here, Modern Alchemist Channel. This is our community. This is it. This is where we get together, and hopefully in time I'm going to be able to get other people to help contribute material to the channel that is uplifting, that dispels fear, that improves wisdom, that elevates and causes enlightenment, that is practical, that is of real use, not theoretical, practical use. And if you want to know the difference between practical or theoretical alchemy or magic, just Google it. It's a worthy pursuit. So that's it. I'm Aubrey Forrest, the Modern Alchemist. This is the map, and we're going to talk about everything from this point on. So be ready, you guys. Buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be a good ride. It's going to be interesting. And like any good roller coaster, it's going to make you uncomfortable. Hopefully it won't make you throw up at the end, but you never know. I'll be talking to you soon. Have a wonderful day.